What up, guys? The Bench Buddies are back with our NFL wild card preview and picks this week as we break down all six of the games. But before we get into it, I got my guy Ethan here joining us. And last week it was not good for any of us, and we can blame that on a lot of guys not playing in a lot of these games. You can look at that 4 o'clock slate as well. You can see there we were win one, lose one, win one, lose one, win one. And, you know, those were the games that were the biggest toss-ups as well. But we'll just move to our locks as well. Not really good there either. 2-4. Tough to bet when you don't have full teams healthy and teams even, trying to win games. Move on to that. We're going to talk about wild card stuff already. I got the under in the Houston Chargers game. I think if Houston's going to win this game, somehow, some way, they're going to have to stop that running attack, and that'll be a 2017 game. If Chargers win that game, it could probably be a 27 to 10 game. So I like the under regardless. Baltimore, I tease that down to 6.5 because I think they will win by a touchdown or more. Just don't know by how much at home. Buffalo, I think they'll cover easily. It'll be close in the first half, but the Bills always play well in their first game in the playoffs. Josh Jacobs, anytime touchdown, looking to make it 9 straight games with a touchdown against the Eagles. And then I have the over in the Washington Tampa game and the Minnesota and the Rams, where I think those offenses are just going to go back and forth all game.
Yeah, and my sliding over to my side of my locks here. These locks have not been the best this year. We're going to look to go over 500 for this week for wild card weekend, or sorry, super wild card weekend. We got Houston plus 2.5 in the opener. I think if this game is going to be a close game, no matter what, the Texans are used to playing in this spot against the Chargers. So here we go. Baltimore minus 9.5. I'm picking against the Steelers here. Just clearly Baltimore's a better team. Denver, Buffalo over 46.5. I think it's going to be a high scoring game. Buffalo with Josh Allen in that high scoring offense, and then Denver with Bo Nix and a possible rookie of the year. And then Philadelphia minus 4.5. Locking that in. I'm sorry for your Green Bay fans. And
Sorry.
then Washington +3 at Tampa Bay. And I'm taking that game as well over the 50.5 in the Marshawn Lattimore and Mike Evans contest this weekend.
Yeah, and then we'll move to our first game of the weekend, and it's Chargers Texans. Going with the Chargers here, better team coming in the playoffs. Texans kind of limp in just because they're in the worst division in football this year in the AFC South. And they had a good thing going the first half of the season, but the second half, this team just disappeared, coasted to this playoff spot, and I think that's as far as they're going to get is just hosting a playoff game in the Jim Harbaugh era starts well in LA and Herbert gets his first career playoff win.
I'm taking the Chargers as well. I did take Houston +2.5, like you saw before, but I'm going with the Chargers in this game. I think it's gonna be one of those really close games down to the wire. This is gonna be a good matchup, like you said. I think Houston can run the ball on the Chargers, so that's gonna be another telltale sign. But I am gonna go with Herbert and McConkey and the guys over in LA to get their first career win, like you said, and Jim Harbaugh to bring it home this weekend.
Yeah, then moving to that Saturday night. Obviously, your Steelers go on the road, face the Ravens. They're 1-1 against each other this year, but the home team has won every time. And like you said earlier, the Steelers come in with a 4-game losing streak. They have probably one of the worst ways to go into a playoff. This team was like 10-3 at one point. No way, oh, no way this team's going to lose the division. All this talk, and then they lose four straight, can't figure it out. And the Ravens just have been trending upward since that 4 week period. And Lamar in the playoffs, hasn't had the best success, but I think this is a week where he's going to dominate.
I'm going to defend the Steelers though, because I mean, if you saw that 4 week stretch, that's a pretty, I believe it was what? It was Bengals, Chiefs, Eagles, Browns, or something like that. Not in that order: Browns, Chiefs, Eagles, Bengals.
Mhm.
So, it's a tough stretch of games. But I mean, this pick doesn't really matter. I'm taking the Steelers. These are two separate picks, so I'm going with the Steelers here. And I mean, it's gonna be a brutal physical game and I know it's gonna be the under, so it's gonna be frigid in there too. So AFC North football, I honestly like this draw better than getting obviously Buffalo. I think they match up better with Baltimore.
Yeah, it's to be there. And speaking of those Bills, they get the Broncos at home. And I think Buffalo comes in, looking to finally get over the hump of Patrick Mahomes. That's really what this is coming down to. It's like Jordan in the 90s. A lot of those players didn't get rings because Jordan was so dominant. And I think if there's any year to dethrone the Chiefs, it would be this year. The Bills got rid of Diggs, didn't miss a beat, probably got better, in my opinion, than they have been. But if McDermott loses this game, he might be on the hot seat because, you can only take him so far. But I don't think that's going to be the case. I think Buffalo's going to cakewalk through this one in the second half. Josh Allen in that run game with James Cook. It's on fire recently, and I think it's going to continue here against the Broncos. And, they kind of come into this game really limping in as well, because this team, only had to win one out of their last four, I believe, and lost three in a row, and then beat the Chiefs, who didn't play pretty much anybody, played backup. So technically, you could say the Broncos kind of limped in as well, where the Bills, they're resting guys because they're too good.
Yeah, it's a very interesting take there. I think I'm taking the Bills as well. I just think, like you said, I mean, this is not the game that nobody's surprised that we're taking the Bills here. I mean, the Broncos have a chance because, last year, the last few years, the Bills have been playing around with their opponent in the wild card. So, I mean, it could happen, and Bo Nix and that offense can be explosive. So, I mean, I don't think it's. I think it's definitely possible for an upset here, but it's way more likely I'm taking the Bills here to win this game and to advance into the divisional playoffs.
Yeah, then obviously my game of the week, the Packers go on the road to face the Eagles. Only way my Packers going to win this game, Josh Jacobs has a career day, and that means play action has opened up, and the Packers can throw it pretty much wherever they want on the field. And then the downside of that, Jalen Hurts, obviously looking to return here after his 2 week stint on the concussion list, and he practiced today, so more than likely he's going to be playing in this one. But I think this is one of those games where last year, Packers 7 seed, go into Dallas, destroy the Cowboys. And yeah, I think I had a way better feeling about that game than I did this one. But the Packers are okay with playing as the lower seeds and going into places and beating teams like this. But this year it just feels a little off. You lost to the Eagles week one, and you go 1-5 in the NFC North. And I don't know, it just seems kind of off this year. I'm not confident in the pick this week, but if they win this one, I think the optimism is there that they might run the table here because, it only takes one game to change the tide in the playoffs.
Yeah, very correct. I'm going. Obviously, you're just picking the Packers because it's your favorite team, and that's the same way for me. So I'm going with the Eagles, the fan favorite. Saquon, and he's had a year to remember. Unfortunately, not getting that career all-time rushing yards in the season. So, or is it? It's rushing yards, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Okay, yeah. So, but I think they're going to be motivated and they're going to be ready to go here. So this is probably the game I feel most comfortable with. So, yeah, I'll leave it there with the Eagles winning and advancing to play whoever they play next week. I'm not sure. Depends.
Yeah, whoever's the highest seed left. If it is, it wouldn't be the Commanders as you're picking, but it would be the Bucks if that it were the case. And I'm going with the Bucks here at home because what hotter team right now in the NFC? I guess you could say maybe the Lions, but that's playing this weekend is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And Baker Mayfield's having career numbers this second half of the season. Mike Evans still getting that 1,000 yards, 11 straight years of 1,000 or more receiving yards, and he missed 3 games this year. And he's fully healthy. The Commanders, their defense has been suspect at times, and against a high-flying offense like this, even with a running game of Rashad White and Bucky Irving, this Bucks offense is very dangerous, and it's kind of hard for me to pick against a dangerous offense at home in the playoffs.
Yeah, I think this has a chance of being the most exciting games. You got, I mean, the Commanders have been playing from behind and winning at the last second this whole year, and the Bucks have been kind of in the same way. So two hot teams, they're kind of new. At least the Commanders are new to this, and I'm taking the Commanders. I think there's going to be one team that lights fire that no one else is expecting. I think is that's going to be the Commanders. So give me them here on the road. I think if they do win, it's gonna come down to game-winning field goal, Jaden Daniels big drive.
And then the last game this week, Vikings, Rams, and like you said, kind of talking about the upset. I think it's more the Rams at home upsetting the Vikings and yet another Vikings collapse in the playoffs with a great year. And I say that because, the Vikings forgot to show up to the biggest game of the year in Detroit, and that's pretty much a playoff game. So I have no confidence in this Vikings team going to LA to a team that's won a Super Bowl just a few years ago with pretty much the same group of guys, besides what half of their defense and Kyron Williams. And when the Rams are healthy, this team is very good. And I'm just nervous that the Rams are kind of built like the Lions in same sense of how they want to attack you on offense. And like I think these home games do matter in the playoffs. And I like the Rams' chances here to move on, possibly play the Lions actually next week, depending on other results. But the Rams here at home, hottest team I think in the NFC that's not the Lions. Yeah, I don't know. It just seems like it makes too much sense for this pick to work.
Yeah, and I think it does make too much sense because I'm going with the Vikings. I think, I mean, this is they're favored here on the road. The Rams have been playing really close games, and that can be a plus, but when their offense isn't scoring as much, I think that's a problem. And I know the Sam Darnold had big problems last week in the red zone, just absolutely brutal performance. But the Lions were sitting in the house all day. And I don't think the Rams are going to be able to do the same thing. I think Sam Darnold's going to adjust to the pressure a little bit. And I mean, they just have too many weapons. I think, I mean, just they got to throw the ball, quick, short passes instead of heaving it deep every time. So I think if that all happens, I think they can get a run game going as well with Aaron Jones. So, I mean, I like the Vikings. I've been rocking with them the last few weeks. So I'm going to stay with them here.
Yeah, that's going to be it for our wild card preview and picks. Check back next week to see how we did. And obviously, we'll be breaking down the four games next week as we're dwindling down to 8 teams and so on. But until the next time, the Bench Buddies are out.